Many of us have great dreams, dreams which we think we aren't ready to achieve, and for which we await a future when we will finally be ready. But before speaking more of this, I would like to tell a story of how I achieved my ambitions. When I was a small child, like many children of my time, my greatest passion was a video game, Minecraft. In Minecraft, I engineered complex mechanisms, circuits, and even a working 3D printer inside the game. But I faced a problem. The best tutorials and the most advanced resources were all in English, and I didn't speak English. So I didn't learn English in a classroom with a grammar book, but by watching videos to deepen my knowledge and to create more sophisticated systems. My parents, seeing what I did, thought that I was special, and they wanted to give me the best education they could. They thought that to do this, they had to find the best school they could. But after having visited many schools, they decided that they would not be good for me, as I didn't need to follow a standard curriculum, but my curiosities and passions instead. So they made a temporary choice. For the time being, I should homeschool instead. Growing, my passion shifted towards rockets and space exploration. I had much freedom in my education and time to delve deeper into the subjects I was interested in. My passions soon drove me to watch videos of special relativity, warp drives, and anything else I found interesting. Along my timeline, there were a few very important events for me, events that turned my path and shaped the destination towards which I was headed. The first of these came shortly afterwards. I had recently heard of somebody who spoke about colonizing Mars, sending millions of people there using reusable rockets and a few other crazy things, though he hadn't had a single successful launch at the time. I also heard of his secretive, experimental school, Adastra, which he had built to guarantee the best education for his children. I was very intrigued by the school, because not only did it host the most exceptional students, but it also aimed for the subjects I was most passionate about. I was obsessed with rockets, and the school was inside SpaceX itself. My father, however, was quite skeptical of this school, mainly because he thought that it was too good to be true, and because we had never heard of the founder, which is now quite famous, Elon Musk. We were still enthusiastic though, so we decided to go visit our cousins in the United States to see if the claims were real ourselves. And though none of the locals had heard of the school, they did turn out to be true. We had seen what he had long desired, while my parents, who were still looking for a proper school for me, they had seen what they thought would be perfect. And so, for us, the next step seemed quite clear. I would attempt the online pre-admission to the school. I recorded a video of a colonization program with logistical details, life support systems, and more. After I had submitted the video, we waited for the email with the results to come. However, we weren't very optimistic, because at any given time, only the 42 best students in the world would be enrolled in the school, and thus the online pre-admission and the following admission would both be very difficult. On Christmas Day, while other children were waiting for Santa's gifts, we received an email saying that I was selected for the admissions. In the following months, I prepared myself for the upcoming admission. I studied and studied, as I knew how difficult it would be. And when the time came, we took an airplane to the United States. And on the day of the admission, I faced many interesting tests, but in the end, I passed them. I was told that I was the youngest and the first European to ever pass the tests. However, I was also told that I was too young to start the following year, being only 7 at the time, but that I could start the year later. While I waited, a few things happened. Given my interests in science, I regularly attended events like Sharper Night at the local university, where there is a particle collider. And one day, when I was about 8, there was the opportunity to visit it. Given how passionate I was about particle physics, I was quite excited to go. But I faced a problem. The tour was reserved for the students of primary schools. I was a primary school student, but being a homeschooler, I wasn't in a school which organized a field trip. And so, to go to the tour, I had only one choice. I had to infiltrate a group on a field trip. I was dressed like the other children and I followed them. However, when the professor who led the tour started asking some questions, he was quite quick to discover that I didn't truly belong. After speaking to him, He was impressed with my knowledge, and he invited me to a private visit in his lab another day. That day, we spoke mostly of warp drives and special relativity. And that day, my enthusiasm for faster-than-light travel decreased quite sharply, as I understood that my dream of seeing it was very distant. Growing, my interest shifted towards conventional propulsion systems more. In particular, I was rather interested in the idea of building a solid rocket engine, as I had seen many videos of people making rockets with rocket candy, a mixture of sugar and potassium nitrate. To me, it seemed doable. So after having done a couple of small experiments, we went to buy some potassium nitrate. In a couple of days, I had made the first propellant, and it seemed that I was on a good pace to make something fly. However, I soon realized that everything was much more complex than I had originally thought, from the casings, which had to be skillfully crafted, to the propellant, which had to be cooked in a very exact manner. All these trials took about a year before I was able to make the first rocket fly. But then came the pandemic, and shortly afterwards, Elon Musk left the school and moved to Texas. The vision of that which we had sought for many years had been in front of our eyes, and to see it vanish when our bags were almost ready nearly brought us to despair. Our only consolation was in knowing that I had learned much while preparing for the school. The most important thing I had learned was that if I wanted to go forwards, I had to go ahead with the projects I wished to, without waiting for someone to come and teach me how to do so. I wanted to build rockets. I thought that I had to go to Adastra to build rockets. But in the end, I had made them on my own. Had I stopped to wait, I may never have succeeded. But in the world of innovation, when a door closes, you open a browser window. The principal and the teachers moved the vision online, creating Astronova. There, for 2 years, I connected with brilliant minds and became the lead of the rocketry team. I realized then that geography is no longer a limit, as you can lead a team in LA from the slopes of Mount Etna. After having finished with Astronova, I decided to embark on a new project to study a subject I had never properly gone into, electronics. I was a homeschooler, and at the time I was at the second year of middle school, that is 7th grade. And being a homeschooler, at the end of each year I had to take an exam. And I had decided that that year, at the exam, I would bring a project. And as a project, I wanted to bring a small fusion reactor, a small star in a jar. More specifically, I wanted to build a fusor, which is the simplest method for achieving nuclear fusion on a small scale, though in this case, simplest does not mean simple at all. It would have been a very ambitious project, mainly considering that my greatest experience in electronics at the time was making an LED blink and burn with an Arduino. But I had done very ambitious things in the past, and I didn't know how much my knowledge lacked. But most importantly, I had a friend with lots of experience in high-voltage electronics who could offer me advice. And so, in the end, I decided to embark on this new project. It was so that in about a year, I went from not knowing what electrical diagrams were to creating and designing my own analog circuits with dozens of components. Recently, I have stepped into a part of electronics that I thought I would never be able to enter. That is RF power electronics, a field where effects which at lower frequencies can be ignored become dominant. Now that I have told a brief summary of my story, I think there is an interesting message that can be taken from it. An important characteristic was my perseverance. I didn't stop, even when it seemed that my plan couldn't have gone any worse. I wanted to build rockets. I knew Elon Musk made rockets, and I was at a step from his school when it closed. But I continued, and now I am building in my high school a rocket perhaps more advanced than any I would have done at Adastra. We live in a world where knowledge is valued above many other things, but we also live in a time where knowledge can be found openly and followed individually. If you want to build a Tesla coil, for example, not only can you learn on the internet how it works, but you can also easily access the tools and materials to build one yourself. I haven't come to where I am now because I received a sophisticated education from some special school, but because I have persevered, sometimes excessively, in my passions. I have learned where my knowledge lacked, and I have used the tools I had to create what I wanted. Thank you.